welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We are on episode 62. Today is January 11th. We are going to be doing our podcast on the college football playoffs that just happened on Thursday and Friday night. And then we'll be talking about the NFL wild card that starts this weekend on Saturday. We'll come back tomorrow and do Sunday, but today we have the two games that are happening at 3 o'clock and the night game. But before I get too far, let me bring on my co-host, Mr. Tim Cook. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. We had some pretty good games Thursday and Friday night. Hopefully we'll have some good games on Saturday for the NFL wild card Saturday. I should say wild card weekend. So we'll have 6 games total, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and 1 on Monday night. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to my brother, your uncle. It is his birthday today. He's turned 51. So happy birthday, Craig. So let's get it rolling.
Yeah, let's get started right off the bat. Now, just to kind of go back a little bit, it's 3 games on Sunday and then 2 games.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Yep. You're right.
Let's get started right off the bat. Notre Dame versus Penn State. Can I get my fingers right this time? Nope, still don't do it. Okay. The Notre Dame plays Penn State. Got a little nervous as a Notre Dame fan, right? Yes, right off the bat. I'm tired of it. I'm seeing all this hate. Oh, how are you a Notre Dame fan? You didn't go to Notre Dame, blah, blah, blah. I'll be honest with you. When they went down 10-0, I walked away for a second because I was like, here we go again. This is the same old Notre Dame team. Shame on me. Shame on me because we got Coach Freeman. And Coach Freeman is the difference. Go F off, Brian Kelly. We don't want you because you went to the SEC to win championships. We're now in the championship game. I am a Freeman lover. At the same time, please don't leave us, okay? Stay with us. But what did you think about this game?
Yeah, I thought it was a very good game. I kind of agree with you. When they got down 10-0, I was like, uh-oh, here we go. This is not going to be good. But they held in there. I'll tell you what, I thought the one play where the receiver for Penn State caught the fair catch at the 2, I'm like, oh, here we go. We got him pinned back. And they just went right down the field. I think they ended up kicking a field goal on that, or maybe no. Leonard had the INT right off the bat in the second quarter. Lions got the ball. They convert on 4th down. The big holding call in the end zone. He did pull on him a little bit. I think that's where they got when they got that field goal, made it 3-0. Allard was missing a lot of easy passes.
Yep.
A lot of easy passes. I think this could have been a blowout in the first half. If he makes some of them key throws, better throws, this could have been a blowout. He missed one to the running back. He threw it kind of behind him, and that was going to be for a touchdown. So, I mean, this could have been a very big blowout. I mean, it was only down 10-0 at one time, and it seemed like when they went down and scored and made it 10-0, the Nittany Lions were getting so much push up front, and Notre Dame had no shot. I mean, they were getting 6-7 yards every time they were moving the ball. That was like a 15-play, 75-yard drive that ate up like 7 minutes of the game. I'm thinking that by the time they scored and made it 10-0, that defense was gassed.
Well,
I mean, they were.
You got to think, too, when it went 10-0, that's what Notre Dame fans sat there and thought and go, this is what we're used to. This is when we play the SEC team or the Big Ten team where they dominate us. I mean, the line of scrimmage was behind us. Our linebackers were getting people in their face immediately. So that's why I walked away because I'm like, yep, this is the same old. And shame on us. Shame on us.
Yep. But then they got the ball back at that 10-0, and Leonard got hurt. And we go, well, why not? What else could go wrong, Yep. But then Angeli came down. He got in there. He started throwing the ball around, too. He was 3-step drop, boom, the ball was out of his hands. Boom, boom. And they got down to the field goal, to the red zone, and then they got that field goal. I think the momentum changed right then and there. I really do. Because they knew if they could get some points on the board, they get the ball second half. And like in the Georgia game, they did it. They got they got the 3 points. They got the ball. Leonard did come back in the second half. He had to be a little bit concussed because I tell you what, he took a hell of a hit on the ground. And he came back in and he drove him right down the field and got him to 10-10. And I'm like, now we got a ball game. It just seemed like the tide turned right after that when they got that field goal.
Yeah, I mean, and then they come out the second half, make it 10-10. They go up 17-10. It was all Notre Dame's way. Now, same time, Notre Dame Notre Dame or Penn State punts one. Notre Dame doesn't fair catch, gets smacked. You're like, shit. Okay. Like, and then Penn State comes back and goes 17-17. And then Notre Dame gets the ball. They punt it and they smack their Penn State guy. And it was just it was a heavyweight match in that second half. It was like in the first half, everyone was kind of like, all right, when's this game kind of going to get started? Because don't get me wrong, both defenses are great. Yeah. But it's a national championship, or not, it was the semifinals, but it's for a national championship. They're going to start throwing some haymakers. In the second half, they did. I mean, between Jeremiah,
Jeremiah Love.
Rush, where it's just straight grit. I mean, that is Coach Freeman's principle, his mindset right there in that one play with that one player right there. With that just being like, I will not be stopped. I don't care if I got knee braces on. I don't care if you're going to punch at the ball. I'm going to stretch out and score that touchdown. That was Notre Dame football in that one play for this game.
Yeah, because he had four guys all over him, and he still bowling balled right in. I mean, that's just tough. That's smash mouth football. That's Notre Dame football right there. You know, but you know they end up the Nittany Lions scored again with Singleton made it 24-17. It's like, okay, here we go. You know, let's answer back. And I thought that pass that Leonard threw to Grayhouse, sweet ball. I mean, he hit him in stride. Now, don't get me wrong that the defender fell down, but he made a move and he went right around him for that 50-yarder. It tied the game up. I'm like, here we go. You know, we're right back in it again. And I think that, you know, the interception at the end for, you know, I've heard different from different media deals, how aggressive should you have been? But I think when he threw that ball, that I can't remember the line. Was it Kaiser that came up the middle to make him throw the ball like a little bit off?
I'm not sure. Yeah, but I would say,
and the way the deal should have been is that the receiver should have went up and like out around instead of back towards him and in. He should have kind of, and if he would caught it probably for a touchdown. But he went back up and in, and that DB was right there, that Gray, and he intercepted it.
Yeah, but Gray played it perfect way, and what he meant was you're not coming inside. If you're going to have to throw on the outside, which would have been a pick. I mean, it didn't matter. If he would have thrown it to the back shoulder, Gray was playing an absolute perfect, and that was what this defense was. I mean, this defense all year has been fundamentally perfect. And yes, sometimes they get beat on plays, and that's okay, but they've been fundamentally perfect when the game is on the line, and they did it right there. Gray would not let him come inside. So then Aller says in the media that he was throwing it to his feet. And when he threw it, Gray is in a perfect position to turn his hips and be right there to catch it. I mean, it was you're going to show it when you show your high school team, this is how you play DB. And he did it perfect.
Yeah. And, you know, so then they get the ball back. They go right down the field. I said at the beginning of this conference football playoffs, you've got a healthy kicker now. I think he is going to win you a game. Yep. He's got the leg on him. And that Jeter just kicked it. When it went up, I went, uh-oh, because it started heading towards right, and he just hooked it right back in for the win. It was just like, and Penn State didn't have I mean, after that, they just tried to hook and ladder, and once Aller threw the ball out of bounds, the ball game was over. It just was, I think Freeman made enough adjustments at halftime. I think that drive right before halftime made a big difference because they knew what they could get by throwing the ball down the field.
See, I don't think they made any adjustments at halftime. I think that what they said is, are you guys ready to play? Are you ready to play Notre Dame football? God, country, and effing Notre Dame football. That's what they say before every game, right? When were you going to bring your physicality? Are you guys afraid of this team? Because that second half, they started and they ran the ball. They ran the ball down the throat and they go and get a touchdown, right? And then obviously what pissed me off about that is the drive before we even punt them before the hour throw. We started doing these three-step drops with Leonard. Leonard is not a three-step drop guy. He's just not. And at the same time, they probably have a top 5 draft pick at the end. Whether he's got one arm, one leg, one eyeball, I don't care. He's an absolutely outstanding NFL. He's going to be an NFL athlete, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He's Sunday player.
Yes. And when you're doing a 3-step drop, you got to get this ball out of his hands fast. And so the bubbles, and I mean, the announcer was saying it perfectly. He was like, get the ball out of his hands fast. Nope. Do 3 sack. sack, and then we punted off, and I was like, you deserve to lose this game. You did awful with, and then they get the ball 37 seconds. Everyone says, or 38 seconds, whatever. Well, you shouldn't have been that aggressive. Well, here's the deal. If you don't go aggressive, you lose in overtime. That is just another stat on Franklin's thing about being, losing against the big games. If he goes aggressive and something bad happens, he's in a lose-lose situation because the media can't get out of their feet or out of their way.
Get out of the way, right?
Of making him look bad. Now, at the same time, James Franklin, what were you doing? Run the ball. I mean, half. You started throwing the ball, and I get it, you're down 7, but watch Notre Dame. Notre Dame was down 10-0, and they're still running the ball because that is what James our offense does. Yeah. So
they didn't go away from it. They didn't go away from what their bread and butter is.
No, and I will say, and this is the difference between Freeman and Brian Kelly, is a Brian Kelly team would have been where you got punched in the face and their heads are down. We're done. Freeman, I just absolutely love him. I will say, between all the media sources that I'm watching and stuff like this, people are bringing up, and I kind of brought up in the beginning that, well, how are you a Notre Dame fan? And it's like, you didn't go to Notre Dame. Well, I can like a team. I didn't play for the Minnesota Vikings, but I like the Vikings, okay?
Yeah.
Like, you can like a team without going there. Because obviously, my Division III school that I went to, private school, I root for them when they would play, okay? But they're not on TV, okay?
Right.
I have my favorite team. So if you're doing that shit, shut the fuck up, okay? I'm sorry. Pardon my friend. Shut up.
Hey, but I got one question for you. Who would you rather be, Brian Kelly or James Franklin?
I'd rather be Marcus Freeman. I don't want to be either one of them. What are you talking about?
Nice. Because Brian Kelly, I got to go somewhere else and be a coach because I can never win a championship here. Yeah. I will never do that again. And then you got James Franklin that is, what now, 1-15 against top 5 teams? Ooh, that's tough.
Well, and you got to think about this too. This is the 3rd season of Marcus Freeman. The 3rd season of Brian Kelly took him a national championship. The difference between the 2012 and this game, and we're going to real quick because we got to talk about this next Wednesday. But the other biggest difference is Notre Dame deserves to be in this national championship. When they went back in 2012, it was 2 teams, they make it, right? So the 2 best records kind of go, right? This year, they had to win 3 games to make it where they are. They had to beat a Big Ten school at their home. They had to beat a SEC school on a neutral site, kind of more of a SEC atmosphere in New Orleans, and then a Big Ten school in Atlanta, fair square, right? They beat 2 teams that played for a conference championship, okay? Stop this. They deserve to be there. And I'll tell you right now, I love Marcus Freeman. I hope he wants to be a Notre Dame man for the rest of his life. I just unfortunately kind of fear that I think some more people looking at him more and more because he just does everything right. He's got these guys in good positions. On paper, this team should not be where they are. On paper. I mean, Leonard is not an NFL quarterback. No. He won't be. He will not play on Sundays. And they are playing for a national championship.
Right.
A compliment to him. How did you do betting on this game?
I had the under. Whoa, that under was looking really good at halftime, 10-3. Whoa. Until both teams decided to score 31 points in the 4th quarter. And that's when the under 45.5 did not work out.
Yeah, I took Notre Dame 2.5. Nice. We did the podcast. It actually got down to I think they were getting a point, whatever. Yeah. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. Notre Dame wins. I win that bet. All right. We got to go to the other game. Unfortunately, I would love to just keep talking about Notre Dame. But we got to go to Ohio State versus Texas. They played last night. Why we didn't record last night? Because we had to see how this game ends up. This was a heavyweight match as well. It started out very well. Ohio State, they come out to these 31-0 lead on Oregon, and they kind of just beat the piss out of Tennessee. Texas finally stood up to that, showed that they do not have to allow all that to come out in the beginning, and then they kept it close. They had a chance, and Jack Sawyer, which I absolutely hate the guy because of what happened in the Michigan game, makes a play. But what did you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, Junkins started right off. Ohio State, the Horns got the ball first, didn't convert on their 4th down. Ohio State got the ball, went right down the field with a Junkins rushing touchdown, made it 7-0. I thought the game was going to really turn when Ohio State got the ball back and that Henderson was running up the middle, and then he got up and punched. I'm telling you right now, that was a punch. That was a close fist.
No.
He hit the helmet. But anyway, he got an unsportsmanlike call when he hit the lineman. I thought Ohio State's defense was flying around. I mean, they were getting all over yours. I mean, they could do nothing. Even the 2 touchdowns they scored had to be on wheel route up throws. He could not get anything going. Their wide receiver went down. The Golden went down. That was kind of hurt. So he couldn't really, which he ended up coming back and playing later because he made a hell of a catch in the fourth quarter on one of their drives. But he couldn't get nothing going. Even the run was not really. They were bottling that up with Blue against Blue and I think it's Wisner. Their running backs, they were not getting anything, any kind of push whatsoever. I don't know. Do you see the camera where the knot on Will Howard's hand? Holy Christ. That has to hurt. Yeah. I mean, that knot was probably as big as a golf ball. I mean, that thing looked huge, and then I also thought too, the linebacker for Ohio State, Timo Sula, or whatever his name is, he went down with an ankle injury, which that didn't really bother him because Sawyer was still there. So, I mean, that wasn't that big of a deal. But, and then finally we got to see Arch Manning a little bit. And he made a hell of a fourth down run that looked like he fumbled, but he didn't because his arm was down by the time the ball came out, and then, they went down and scored, tied it up at 7-7. All right, we're back in it. And then you let them right back in it with a screen pass to Anderson for 75 yards. They were blitzing. So everybody's up front, and they got to Henderson, and Henderson got in the open field, and that was a backbreaker. It just seemed like Texas would make a run, and Ohio State would counter it. They'd make a run, they'd counter it. It just was a back and forth kind of that one hurt because then they got the ball in the second half.
Yeah.
And then, but that didn't kill them. But they could have been down 21-7 and almost it could have been over.
I think the Henderson slap, punch, whatever you call it, did slow down Ohio State. I think it did because they did score that first drive. And then I think it was the third drive where the smack happened or whatever.
Right.
But it was one of these things where it was momentum changer. And it pushed them back. Now, at the same time, Ohio State went into a game that 70% of the crowd was the opposing team. Well, you think, okay, well, that's what the Georgia-Notre Dame game was. Let's remember that, okay? Yep. So let's not act like no team did something like that. But at the same time, you could tell that the crowd was into it. I mean, and that second half, what are you doing? Like at the start of the end of the first half, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, just keep everything in front of you. Including a screen pass. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It wasn't a 50-yard bomb. It wasn't nothing like crazy.
No.
And it was awful angles by the DBs because they did blitz, but they have guys that were playing prevent, and they all come in. And what I saw in the replay, that one guy jumped over another guy. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Make the tackle. Like, even if you make that tackle, it's still going to be hard for them to score. Like, that was bad. That was a bad defensive play.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I mean, that just, you have all the momentum and then that happens. It took it's like popping a balloon. It just took all the air out of the all the momentum out of the stadium. I think in the second half, Texas finally did step up in their defense. They started blitzing more and they were shutting them down quite a bit. But it just seemed like they were just not enough. Both touchdowns that Texas scored, both on wheel routes, they had a hell of a time just scoring those 2 touchdowns. Ohio State's defense was flying around. I mean, that was tough.
Yeah, I think we talked about Texas's defense going into that game, but leaving that game, we talked about, oh shit, Ohio State's got a pretty solid defense. I think when you even look at it, like Ohio State goes down and scores 21, makes it 21-14, and then Quinn Ewers drives the team down. Now, did I think Quinn Ewers had a great game? No. Did he have a good game? Yes. And when they drive down there, you get to the 1-yard line and you run it, don't get it. And then you go an outside sweep, lose 6 yards. Third down, you got to get rid of the ball early because Jack Sawyer comes up. Fourth down, Jack Sawyer strips, scores a touchdown, game over. It just was one of these things where Penn State. Ohio State's defense was bend but don't break. And they learned from their mistakes of the wheel routes because they were like, okay, we're going to cover everyone, obviously. But it was one of these things where they got pressure on Ewers. And I think this is where Ewers, unfortunately, it's 4th down. You can't just throw the ball away. Because the game's over.
Game's over. Yeah.
But at the same time, like you knew they were coming with pressure. I don't know. I just felt like, why didn't he get out of the pocket faster? Like, it was open that way. Instead, he's backpedaling, trying to throw it. It just,
Well, and also too, before that, on that drive, he caught that. I don't know what the wide receiver was, and he caught it, and then he got down to the 40, and then he's pointing at the Ohio State person. Gets it unsportsmanlike. Discipline, boys, discipline. You can't do that. You just had a 30-yard drive or 30-yard catch, and now you're going back 15 yards because you have an unsportsmanlike penalty. So you only gained 15 yards out of the whole damn play. Yeah. You've got to be more disciplined. You're driving to tie the game, not driving to win the game, tie the game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was definitely a backbreaker for them. But how did you bet on this game?
I took Texas getting the 5.5. And they were driving to that time, and I'm thinking, oh, tie, maybe they go to overtime, and no, he fumbles it and runs it back. Which, when he runs it back, we talked off air about how somebody. I mean, I know Sawyer's quick, but is he really that quick? I mean, come on. I mean, there's nobody that could have caught him. None of their wide receivers could have caught him. I know yours weren't going to catch him, but somebody should have caught him. I know he's not. He's good, but he's not that good. I think
he had that 30 to 35 yard head start. And that, like, yes, he's not super fast. Like, he's not a wide receiver. He's also, I mean, like, he's a fast DN / linebacker. Yeah. Like,
right.
And the other thing was the running back was there, but they pushed him out of bounds. Like, they blocked, so you don't know what might have been behind it, but, like, gotcha. It was also a dagger. I mean, it was like,
yeah, that was the ball game. Yeah, I mean, and they knew that this was going to be the ball game. This was either they punch it in to tie it, but even, you know what, Anthony, even if you would have thrown it out of bounds, so you give Ohio State the ball. I think they still had 3 timeouts left. They had some timeouts left. I mean, I think they could have stopped and made a punt. Maybe they could still try to. That was a backbreaker.
Yeah, I think if you throw it out of bounds, the game's still over, because at that point now Ohio State's got all the momentum.
Right.
And so,
you never know.
So, well, and they actually did, because Texas actually got the ball back again through another interception.
Yeah, that's true.
They had to stop Ohio State from getting a first down. What did Ohio State do? The first down game.
Yeah.
But I betted the -5.5 for Texas. It actually went up to 6 by game time. Obviously I'm sorry, I went Ohio State. I did the 5.5.
Yeah, yes.
And it went to 6 before the game time, but obviously Ohio State wins by more than that. We did bet a Sodi on it. And you know what? I was cocky, and I could have said the points. I still would have beat you. National championship will be played on 01/20. So January 20th, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. A lot of people have the day off in the corporate world. That night will be the national championship. It's in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Mercedes-Benz Arena. We'll talk about that later this week, or actually next weekend. We'll talk about that, because we got a little bit time before that. So now we got to get to the wild card weekend. Talked a lot of college football there, but big games. Starting off today at 3:00, we have the Chargers versus Texans. Harbaugh's first playoffs with the Chargers. Now, Justin Herbert's, is he going to get his first playoff win as a Charger? What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, right now the Chargers are playing their best ball. Right now they beat the Raiders last week 34-20, while the Texans coming off a win against the Titans. I think the key to the Chargers, can the defense keep playing lights out? This is the number 1 defense in the NFL right now. Can they keep doing it? Also, Herbert's got to be playing better, and he's been playing better in the last half of the season, so he's got to keep going with that. While the Texans just feels like they limped into the playoffs. Yeah. They're just not playing like they did at the beginning of the season. The key to, CJ Stroud's got to get going early. You've got to get some blocking for that guy. He's got to roll out and get Nico Collins. I was going to say Tank Dell, but no. But Minchie, he's got to get his receivers going, and they got to get Mixon going as well. The Chargers have covered the spread in each of the last 6 games as road favorites against AFC opponents. The Texans have failed to cover the spread in 5 of the last 6 games as underdogs. I think Harbaugh and the Chiefs are ready to play. Texans, not so much. So I'll take the Chargers, given the 2.5.
Yeah, I think it moved up to 3 as well. I still would take 3 in that one. I agree. I think when you look at this, I think the Chargers are going to go as far as Herbert goes. I mean, the offense is based off of the running the ball, but it's all about when those plays happen for the play action. And Herbert's going to have to perform very well. Excuse me. And at the same time, you got on the Texans side, yes, like you said, they limped in. But this matchup this week is actually a good one. And what I mean for the Texans is, can Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson get after the quarterback or make good run stops in this game? If they, because you got to go, you're going against, it's Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson versus Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt, ex Notre Dame. Right. But those two, that 4 people right there, those 2 against 2 is going to be a huge thing about this game. And Danielle Hunter has had a great season. Do not get me wrong. Will Anderson's had a decent season, but now it's time to play. You went out and got Danielle Hunter for these moments in this game. You got to relieve a little pressure off of this offense, because this offense is not what, I mean, if you look at it, Nico Collins is the only player, Joe Mixon outside of that, is the only player that started this season that was their superstars.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's going to be hard to run that ball on Harbaugh's defense. And so you got it. CJ Stroud's going to have to step up in this game. I'm on the same with you as well. I'm taking the Chargers -3 or 2.5 or whatever by game time. I did see that this game started out as a -1 or whatever, and a lot of people are hitting hard on the Chargers on this one. I know the home field advantage is kind of maybe a thing, but I don't know for the Texans. And right now with what's going on in Houston and Texas with all those ice storms and stuff like that, could change it a little bit. We did see a good Cotton Bowl crowd-wise. Right. It could change it a little bit going into this game.
Yeah.
Well, that takes us to the night game of the wild card. Steelers versus Ravens. Didn't we just – oh, yeah, we did. We talked about it like literally 3 weeks ago.
Right.
They just played each other 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago or whatever. And this both coaches are the longest tenured coaches in the NFL anymore. Obviously, Belichick's gone, things like that. But both coaches. This game, just seeing Baltimore and Steelers, brings me back a little bit. Now, it may bring you back a little bit differently. But for me, this reminds me of Joe Flacco, Big Ben, playoff games. Right. Defenses are both just stout. You got Troy Polamalu on one side. You got Ed Reed on one side. You got Harrison on one side. You got Ray Lewis. These teams are just been notorious for great playoff games. Now, 4-game winning streak going into the playoffs, 4-game losing streak going into the playoffs. That is going to be the difference of this game. Unfortunately, like you just said with the Texans, they limped in. Steelers limped into this playoffs. Yeah. They had 10-3 streak at one point, and then they lose these games. I think Tomlin is going to have these guys going, but I think there's a lot of discipline problems happening in this game, so we'll see. But what do you think about this game?
Yeah, this is going to be the rubber match. First game of the season, Pittsburgh won 18-16. Second game, Baltimore beat them on by I think 14 points. They had an interception, a pick 6 at the end. They made it to 14 points. Pittsburgh's coming off that bad loss to Cincinnati, while Baltimore's coming off that nice win against the Browns. And we all knew that was going to happen. I think the key for the Pittsburgh is, can they get the ball down the field? Can they? They've got to start getting Pickens more involved. So that opens up the running attack. They've got to. And for Baltimore, just keep everything going. Keep everything going. Hey, Jeff Munkin, the OC, you've got 2 studs out there. Keep using them. Use Lamar running and passing. Use Derrick Henry. Use that and just keep pounding on Pittsburgh's defense. Because Pittsburgh's defense is pretty good, but I think if you pound on them enough, they will break. I mean, it proved it in a Cincinnati game last week. Because, here's the deal, too. Last week, Pittsburgh only had 16 first downs and 193 yards total yards. Yikes. That's not getting – and this isn't the first week that's happened. That's happened the last couple of weeks, too. So, here's the deal, too. Pittsburgh has won 6 of the last 7 games as road dogs, following division loss. The Ravens have covered the spread in each of the last 4 games. It's a divisional rival. I think Tom's going to have them ready to play. So, you know what? I like Pittsburgh getting the 9.5.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't even look at the point spread on this one. I was like, there's too many points. I don't like it. I will say, there's been a lot of talks about Tomlin and discipline when they're losing and discipline when they're winning. He had Antonio Brown, and they had that whole situation go down. They had Deontay Johnson and that whole situation go down. Now you have George Pickens. And I think there's definitely a player of when we're winning, I don't care what you do. But when we're losing, There's no discipline to this. George Pickens has to play better in this game. He has to be a star. Another player that we didn't talk about right off the bat that's not playing in this game is Zay Flowers. That's a huge loss for Pittsburgh, or I'm sorry, for Baltimore in this game, because he only has so many down the field weapons. I mean, he really does. Like when they went out and got these people, and it was like, oh, okay. But outside of Mark Andrews, likely, and Bateman, maybe.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
So you're gonna have to stop the running back. Now I'm gonna say that Derrick Henry is way too damn old to be in the NFL. Okay, I am the same age as him. I struggled getting out of the bed this morning. Okay, and I did nothing yesterday. I did nothing. Okay, my back, I had to stretch. I gotta get the hamstrings. Okay, that man is the same age as me and is dominating this league. I will tell you right now. I don't know what he does. I don't care what he does. I'll never do it. But he looks amazing. You got to use him today. Yeah. You got to run the ball. You got to open up the running attack. I think that's where the point of the emphasis is going to be in this game, is if the Steelers can slow down the Ravens offense or with the running attack. Now, Lamar, you wanted that MVP. This is where you decide whether you're going to be the MVP or not, because you're going to have to throw the ball and you don't have your number one wide receiver. Right. So I like in this one, I'm not doing the point spread. I'm doing under 43.5. Pittsburgh always finds a way to have Baltimore's number on the running or the offensive side. At the same time, I just don't think the Russell Wilson experiment is going well. I think it's something you're going to question about. I mean, I saw on ESPN, they're like, "Do you play Justin Fields?" Shut up! No, you don't play Justin.
Yeah.
You still go with your starting quarterback. I just don't think it was what you thought it was going to be when you had a 10-3 record at one point.
10-3, yeah.
But I just. Something about that defense always finds a way to just slow Lamar Jackson down. They don't stop him. They just slow him down. So I don't think there's going to be many points in this game. I think 43.5 on the under.
Under.
But, yeah, so that is – we have 3 games tomorrow on Sunday. We have 1 game on Monday night, and the one Monday night game is in State Farm. Now, I'm going to say this real quick, and I'm going to say it at the end because if people are still listening, good for you. But what is happening in LA is an absolute tragedy. Absolute tragedy. And the controversy of, what is being said about insurance policies being taken away and people that are not. A lot of the insurance policies were with State Farm. And State Farm now pulled their insurance. And then the game on Monday night is going to be at the
State Farm. Yeah.
Or publicity. Come on. Do you understand how that's kind of contradicting? Like, you got to go play somewhere. Go play in Vegas. Like, I don't know. Go play somewhere else. I don't give a shit where you play. Yeah. But playing it at a place where now the biggest controversy of insurance policies is at that location. I'm sorry. I had to give a rant. I don't care where they play. I think the Vikings are a better team. It does help that they're not in LA and the home field advantage. But at the same time, what is happening is an absolute tragedy. If you've seen the videos, and it's just like we can't catch a break right now with what happened in New Orleans, what's happening in Los Angeles now. It's just it's awful to see. But NFL, do you see how that looks bad? Like that's just awful. But we'll be back tomorrow to talk about those games, the 3 on Sunday and the 1 on Monday night. When we come back on, what's up?
We'll talk about the 2 games on Saturday.
Oh yeah, we'll recap those games. Yep.
We'll recap. Yes.
And then when we come back on Wednesday, that's when we'll recap the NFL playoffs and see who's going where. But we will finish that with a little bit of college football talk, as we'll have the national championship coming up. Also talk about some of these the crybabies of the SEC. And is the SEC done? I mean, is their reign of being it? Because this is the first national championship in almost 20 years that no SEC team is in the national championship. It helps when an independent is in there because no conference is represented. But we want to thank everyone. We do kind of have something up our sleeve. Hopefully we'll announce something coming up. We got a couple things up our sleeve that we would like to announce as time goes on. So keep watching, comment, like. We'll be throwing some new things in as the year ends. But we want to thank everyone. Stay warm. And good luck on your bets this week. If you do bet, just bet responsibly. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.